Tony, obviously a tough one out there tonight. Kind of what was your message out there to your team?
Obviously, you got to turn the page and move on to tomorrow. I mean, it's a 3-round fight you're in the middle of, and certainly got a knockout type blow, tonight that we've been on the other end of that deal too. So there's not a whole lot we can do about it. You certainly would like to learn from a couple mistakes in particular, and maybe make sure that the whole group is on the same page with the type of focus that we need. But really, it's all about coming back tomorrow with some pride on your home field.
AJ has been so good this season, especially in the last 2 weeks. What do you think was different tonight?
A couple breaks, walks a batter and is showing signs of frustration, which I think, you might even been the one to ask. Usually he's pretty consistent and kind of a model for our guys on what body language and presence needs to be. And I can't get inside of his head and haven't asked him about it, but it looked like he was showing signs of frustrations. And then we don't keep the ball in front, which is something we've either stressed or applauded our guys for doing. Or even kind of laughed about in the outfield for another reason, and we don't do that. And now all of a sudden you kind of let the lid off for, explosive offense, and I'd like to think ours is able to do some things, but then we could go down the list of every opponent, in the SEC, and they're all going to be explosive if you give them extra opportunities, and they did a good job of capitalizing on that.
How much confidence should this team have knowing the team is going to get the ball tomorrow?
I think at the very least they got to understand that he's really been in about every situation that a college pitcher can be in. He hasn't pitched in a national championship series, but otherwise the guy has literally pitched in every situation you can imagine, and countless times pitching on Sunday where the series is on the line. But I think too, it's kind of like the guys picking up Causey when he comes out. You guys said it. He's been a lot to this team. So is Drew. To me, you're judged not necessarily in one moment or based off one pitch or play, but your entire body of work. And again, one pitch or one play can kind of say something about you and dictate who you are in certain cases. But for the most part, that guy, really both of those guys will forever be judged, at least by the coaching staff, how they do things day in and day out. And it's super consistent, and it's also a great example for everybody else that's a part of the team.
Getting out there and shit opportunity for Bargo. How close is he to 100%?
I would probably say we need another weekend behind us where you can feel comfortable about him, going out there and playing a position still hasn't caught. That'll happen at some point this year. I think he's put in a lot of work on the infield. I feel better about him being on the infield than trying to run down fly balls in the outfield. But he's at a point where if he's at second base and we don't pinch run for him and he's got to score on a base hit, he can do that. It's just kind of a comfort level of making sure we're not going 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
How crucial is it to get off to a better start?
I think it matters, but I think, you sign up for a full day's work. Like I said, it's weird being on the I stand by, we'll talk about it some other time, but I don't necessarily agree with the rule. It's super weird too when you don't know how many outs you need to cover, who could pinch hit, when you don't know how long the game is going to last. But the bottom line is we got beat well enough. We only played 7 innings today, but tomorrow when you show up here, baseball players put in a lot of time, and we're here 4 hours for the game, eating, prepping. They're doing the same thing, and I fully expect a 9-inning ball game, and who knows, it could be, an extra inning game too. So it would be great to start off well, but tonight started with best weather we've had, best crowd we've had, which they deserved better, and then a great first inning, just kind of a strong first inning by Causey, and then we put 2 really good swings on balls. Nothing to show for it. So to me, technically, tonight's start was great. The finish was not so great.
What gives you confidence in this team's resiliency to reset the way they need to for tomorrow?
They've shown toughness in a lot of different areas. The thing about this game is, and they've certainly shown togetherness. When it doesn't go well, in a case like tonight, you got really 2 options. You're probably not going to stay the same. You can either kind of get closer together, or it can separate you a little bit. You can point a finger and say, what about coach doing this or this, that, or the other thing? So those things have been there for this team at the very least. And like I've said to you all, to me, some of those attributes have been even better than we thought they were. So we'll see how they are in the face of a challenge. But the thing about this game is you have to show it day in and day out. And I'm not knocking football, because if I did, one of those guys would knock me out. But it ain't a week to prepare for the next opponent. It's wake up tomorrow morning with a new task at hand and a good idea how you want to accomplish that task.
Reese had two more hits tonight, not playing right field with the Bargo situation, and obviously Amick being out. Should we see more of him in the lineup?
Reese, yeah, I think so. He's actually worked at third base before, but I don't think has attacked it enough. That's a topic down the line, but I think he's a guy that could turn himself into a pro prospect, not just as a right fielder, but a third baseman. But yeah, both those guys are two of our best left-handed hitters. It's kind of hard to, at this point, pin down who the best 8 or 9 guys are, but it's going to involve who's playing where and things like that too. But if we're going to be successful any one weekend in an SEC play, as long as both those guys are healthy, we need them both involved.
What is one quality that you want to see your team improve on for next year?
Keep the ball in front on defense would be one. And then also just everybody hooked up, the way we were when the day started. You got to stay that way. If you think you're just going to kind of cruise along on the highway and you're not going to have a rock hit your windshield, or you're not going to hit a bump in the road, or somebody's going to cut you off, or maybe somebody flips you the bird or something like that, you're crazy. It's going to be just like everyone here has a morning drive that probably causes some irritation. Tomorrow will be the exact same. I don't care what the score is. I expect our guys to bounce back the same way, but when that happens, you got to keep on trucking.